they did a lot of the foundation work. There was a lot of good individuals that were doing it at the time that were members. And to change something, it takes a long period of time because you have to analyze how's this change going to affect it. Is the change viable? Sometimes the changes that you make are only temporary, and you want it to extend longer, and it doesn't happen that way.
It's amazing how, for better or for worse, the people that came before did their part to make it what it is. Some hurt, some helped, but I think all had good intentions at the onset. But if you let it, it's like anything, it'll warp you. And TJ and I have trained a lot of people and released a lot of monsters on the world.
There are a lot of monsters on the world.
And we work to keep them in check to a degree. But the good thing about there being a lot of monsters out there is that it gives good people a purpose and something to fight. And there are a lot of there hopefully are more good people out there to fight those fights every day. And there are a lot of good SAR teams out there. There are a lot of good people that do it. And I would say to anybody, if you have a missing person incident, one of my rules is don't give anybody any money. Anybody comes to you hitting you up for money right away, they're in it for the wrong reasons. Talk to somebody who doesn't have a dog in a race that can help you out, and give you advice. Know somebody who does search and rescue. But don't go on these social media things and everything. You're going to get pulled in too many directions. You're going to get overwhelmed. Every family that's been through this grist mill and out the other side will tell you the same thing. It doesn't benefit you. Rewards don't work a whole lot. Overall, if I had to say yay or nay, I'd say nay. What works is an investigation and timed, methodical response. If anybody comes to you and they say something's too good to be true, walk away. Save yourself some time. It is too good to be true. There are no miracle solutions. There are no easy cures or fixes. It's just you got to get out and be willing to do the work. And there are a lot of people out there willing to do the work. And there's some people out there that want to put up pretty pictures of them and their dogs, But the people that want to do the work, typically you don't see them as much. I can't think of, there aren't many pictures at searches because it's not the place for pictures and there's not the time for it. And
you're always going to have the team that comes in and they act like the superheroes, and they have a tendency to do things such as claim that the individual is in a certain area, and then they come to the reality that after the fourth or fifth vehicle that they pulled out of the river was something that was placed there prior to that individual missing.
Oh, don't get me started.
And
that just gets me started every time, that person.
It's unfortunately that we can't talk about the individuals that we've encountered throughout the years involved in search and rescue. We know that they have good intentions, but at the same time, some of their actions.
What they need to do is we need to do this and have like a bottle of bourbon and just say, we'll be saying wrong names, but we'll be saying names at least. There's, we just take it very personally when we see the families exploit it. Again, they're already being victimized by the event, and then to be exploited and re-victimize them is something that's just unacceptable.
Well, the only thing that ever bothered me was the one search that we went on to. We were not acknowledged for locating the subject. Every other team out there was acknowledged by the family member, the police departments, and so on and so forth. But we did not receive any acknowledgement. A casual mention would have been okay. And it really it didn't bother me because...
Give me a clue to what search.
Give me a clue
about.
That the 13-year-old.
That wasn't subtle, but
yeah, I know it wasn't. That was the only time where Mark and I walked into a command center, and that was the only time where I thought I was going to lose it. I did not anticipate that we were going to walk out without being incarcerated because I did not want to leave one table or one chair unturned in that location because I just felt angry.
That would be something to see you flip out. And if you flipped out, I guarantee you I would still get arrested. Because nobody would believe you flipped out. They would be, the GPSR guys flip it out, and they would just come in and tackle me while you're flipping tables over. But no, I understand what you're saying. I don't care who gets credit. Credit's irrelevant to me in any aspect of life. But it sure is annoying when the wrong people get credit. Yeah. Either nobody or make it right. And I'm fine with nobody.
Yeah, or thank all the rescuers and the legal and law enforcement teams that participated. But don't go start naming them, because once you're naming them and you happen to leave the name out, then you feel that you're not being acknowledged. And we even, earlier we talked about the individual or the we didn't talk about the archaeological dig that we did.
No.
And I don't think we want to go with the archaeological dig.
No, we will not talk about it because young Russell wants to get home this evening. And you can, no, believe me, you would regret that. No, he'd be here droning on about this. It's what people talk when they want to stall him. The archaeological dig, and you can, if anybody wants to know, they can just look him up on our website and email him, and he'll be happy to come to your house and give you a one-man road show on it.
I have all the maps and the information.
If you had an unlimited budget or magic wand, how would you fix search and rescue?
I would try to make it a partnership between local law enforcement and the volunteer search and rescue teams, to where I feel that the local law enforcement could develop a good working relationship with the volunteer teams, and at the same time share information that is pertinent to the search and rescue team. Like what the individual looks like. It does help, and also to have a reference to, and a working relationship with them, I think is the best thing to fix search and rescue.
I think if we I've always asked them, and they've been better about it, is that tell us anything that won't jeopardize prosecuting this in court. That's my one line. Right. And then the other thing is that if missing person operations take up a lot of resources, which costs a lot of money, which reduce the public safety response in other ways. So when you are using the right resource for the right job, or using search and rescue for missing persons, you are increasing public safety, because you're not pulling that police officer over there to go in woods he doesn't want to go in. He's out patrolling, protecting you. So whenever you see the police doing missing persons, your safety is being reduced for somebody who's already missing, for a kind of warm to cold incident. And there's other resources there. It's kind of like, I've always felt that when I see, back in the old days when they'd have police officers writing parking tickets, I always felt that should be somebody else doing that, so that they can focus on the law enforcement and the public safety aspect of it. But when you see that being people being used, and when you do this for a while, you start to notice things. There's a missing girl in, I think, Wisconsin, and the local sheriff had 100 people searching for a town of 3,000 people. He didn't get anything with the 100 people, so he put out a public plea. He wanted 2,000 people. The number he gave us, 2,000 people to come into a town of 3,000 and search for this girl. That's ludicrous. You can't manage it. There's a law of diminishing return. You don't know if the people involved in it are coming in back to impact the scene. You can't secure it. You can't have it accountable. You can't run an operation that big, and you shouldn't need an operation that big. We're not searching the planet. We've got to investigate and develop it. There's enough cameras. enough other things to give us an edge now. But when I hear somebody say that, manhunts don't work. Whenever I hear manhunt on the news, they don't work. And if you want to argue that and email me, that's fine. But cite a couple examples where they are working, and I'll give you 5 back for every one you send me where they don't work. It's not the way to do things. It just doesn't work. And with missing persons, it doesn't work, because if that sheriff gets 2,000 people, first off, I think there should be a national way that he knows not to ask that question, and he should be able to get resources in there locally to help guide him and use that 100 people. 100's a good number to find that person. 2,000 people, he's going to use his all of his trusted officers, all of his trusted local resources will be used up to park cars and give out food. And we had it happen to us where we were put in charge. I got snookered in the first day. I got everybody in the second day. And we had no ability to practice our craft. All we were managing and keeping people from killing themselves. And we did that for 2 days or so. You can't manage them. You use up all of the trained resources are used to babysit the untrained resources.
Right. We had a search to where we were looking for an individual who was missing in a semi-mountainous area. And the only reason why I use the word semi-mountainous is because it was one large mountain or hill. And we had 100 individuals that were there, and being assigned the task as to, all right, how do we deal with 100 individuals? And then I came up with an idea which I was able to manage 100 people. Fortunately, by the time I get everything in order and was going to blow the whistle to get things started, the individual was popped out of the woods and just happened to run into a family member who brought her back to the command site. And then there was another situation to where we had close to 450, 500 individuals. And unfortunately, I had used that 100 scenario, and I broke it down into different ways, and we were able to manage all of them for a period of, again, it took 2 days.
Oh, we managed them, and
we did.
And it did fine. But as far as us actually being able to search,
yeah, we didn't search at all.
We as a team could give 0% probability of detection, which is what we use to measure things, because we didn't get out there. We were babysitting and keeping people out of a river. And one of the differences between civilian searchers and us, other than background checks, training, equipment, resources, temperament, knowledge, attitude, is that we have a strict rule about not drinking while we're searching, which doesn't always get extended to civilian search parties.
That's right.
They go sideways, and when you get a certain mix, they become keggers on feet. And that's what happened on this particular one in a particular area of a particular city right near here, where it's like, thank goodness most people were walking.
Well, they had to have a head start, and they had to settle their nerves. It was very stressful for them.
Well, I think it's part of everybody. No matter what the event, there's some comfort that people have now where they turn into a bit of a party. It's always got to be a bit of a party, and when you just see so many people that have beer cans in their hand, and you think, I might as well not even bring this up, because this is, I'm the oddball here. I guess I need to go get a can of something. But there are many reasons there are good ways to utilize the public. Best resource for, local information. We always lean on the public for local information on demographics and everything like that.
I want to interject that. It's the nosy neighbor that knows, that knows everything.
Yeah, that person that when you were growing up, you avoided that house because that person was always watching. That's the person who wraps up cases for us. The nosy neighbor. I want, we get a search in an area, I want to go right to the person that's got the tinfoil hat, because that's where the answer is, there.
Look at the one search when you decided that you were going to bang a trash container to echo the sound that individuals heard. And then it wasn't until that you had assigned individuals to go across from where the command center was to